Head coach Tom Matukewicz, his team is coming off a 35-28 win against Eastern Illinois. This week they traveled to Tennessee Tech. Coach, some thoughts on your team, and then we'll get some questions.
Yeah, it was just a really good weekend, homecoming. Just a tremendous amount of energy, and uh, the downtown you couldn't even operate in with the parade and all those type of things, the tailgates and stuff. Another really good crowd. You know, really good getting the win column, especially how we won, being able to win the fourth quarter 14-7 was really important to us. Um, have a really high opinion of Eastern Illinois. Coach Wilkerson has done a good job. He had two of his best players on defense hit the portal. They're actually at SIU. And I would say that they're some of their better players, but somehow EIU got better. And so that says to me his character, his culture, and the buy-in that his teams are having. So I've been here through three head coaches, and he's the best one they've had since I've been here. And so it's going to be a pleasure to compete against him. And I'm glad that Eastern's got such a fine coach. So now we're just turning the page, just 24 hours, getting ready for Tennessee Tech.
Okay, Tom, I believe you have a question for Coach.
Coach, you had mentioned during the press conference that you had suspended that captain's group during training camp. What exact responsibilities does that group have, and why did you suspend it?
That's between my team and I.
Okay. You started a redshirt freshman offensive lineman named Tyson Miller on Saturday. I believe that was his first career start. What did you see from him through training camp and probably even before that, and the first few weeks of the season that you wanted to give a young guy a shot at that offensive line?
Yeah, he got his opportunity through an injury. So Clive had gotten hurt and wasn't able to go. And so it was kind of the next man up. He came in and was kind of just the middle of the pack of that class in O-line. And man, he's just really separated himself. He had a really good off season. He has that kind of mentality that I want in the O-line. Like he just gets his job done because it's the most important thing to him. And so played at a really high level, and might start again this week, even though Clive has come back. So I'm really happy for him.
Okay. Obviously, the road. I don't want to read too much into the road environment this year because Kansas State's an anomaly, and then you had last second losses in the other two road games. But what's the difference between your team mentally having to handle the road challenges versus a home environment?
I think both are challenging. You have distractions at home, but even on the road, now it's unfamiliar stuff. You're not in a as normal routine. And so you really got to just make sure you're focusing on the right things is my message to my team. Not focusing on the future or the past. An hour before the game, you shouldn't be watching college football. You should be going through your notes and mentally preparing for the game and stuff like that. So it's a challenge, but I think at the end of the day, you just got to make sure you're in a good routine and you're focusing on the things that really truly matter for the next 3 hours of the competition.
Okay, last one from me. Defensive pressure has not been there consistently this year, and you guys rank the bottom of the OVC in sacks. And I understand the defensive pressure could come from any of the 11 guys. It doesn't have to just come from the D line. What does your team need to do to improve its ability to pressure the quarterbacks?
Well, we got 4 sacks this last weekend,
Right.
so proving, and that's really the main thing is that I see progress. We've really emphasized that. And so again, we're building skill, and you don't just wake up one day all of a sudden better at pass rush. One of the big challenges was the mobility. if you look at EKU's and UCA's quarterback, man, he was just kind of hard to get a hold of also. I think that added to that. And of course, SIU's quarterback was really mobile.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Jake, do you have any questions for Coach?
I do. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Great.
I know when we saw you last on Saturday, there was no doubt you were visually frustrated with the team, and you mentioned to us that you didn't want to act as if you guys had lost the game because you didn't lose the game. But has that energy, while it might seem a little negative, has that carried on to your team? Have you had a chance to really get those feelings out to your team this week yet?
Yeah, I think we got all of our things out on the table. Sunday morning, my wife flipped on the light at 4 a.m. and ripped me. She said, "You lost 3 straight games, and now we won a game, and you can't sleep. You're keeping me up. You're tossing and turning and all that, and I ain't stand for it." So she kind of got me back on the right mindset. There's some uncharacteristic stuff. So I was, that's not the kind of team that I want. And so there was just some stuff we have to get straightened out. And I think it will. I think, people just trying really, really hard, and some things that we just lost our way there a little bit, but I think we'll get back on track.
When you've had a chance to, watch the film, review the tape, was there something that, stood out this time around that maybe you guys did better or improved upon in a certain area?
Are you talking about like schematically, or are you just talking about like our attitude and effort type?
I think just both. Just in that game last Saturday when you turned, with I guess certain things you liked. I know you mentioned winning the fourth quarter this time, but was there anything on tape that kind of stood out?
No, there's several things. Our defense was 2-0 in 2-minute drives. Didn't get a point. I had a 2-minute drive right before half, 2 minutes at the end of the game, and we won both of those. We were really good on third down offensively and defense. Really critical. Those are really critical situations that we're improved in. It was more of the 9 penalties, but a couple of just really dumb penalties. And, every time we made a play, we tried to find a camera or a fan. So instead of trying to find a teammate, and that's not the kind of team that I want. So those are kind of some things that I wanted to make sure I got straightened out.
Yeah, it sounds like those intangibles, maybe things you can try to coach but can't really coach if they happen in the middle of the game. Like you said, maybe running for a camera, running for a fan. Is that something you just have to institute a rule not to do it? Or, it must be pretty hard to teach these intangibles when it's not actually you making the play.
Yeah, absolutely. And some people don't. Like, there's a lot of coaches that don't care. That's just not what this program's about. So I just think we just got to re-clarify, who we are and how we go about our business, which we've already done. And now we're ready to, just get better at the things that's going to help us versus Tech.
And obviously winning can always, cure a period in time until you go play the next game. But do you feel that this win had given you some confidence, even though it was still a tight game, heading into that Tennessee Tech game?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good football team. That was a good homecoming win, like all those things. How we won, like I said, the 2-minute drives we hadn't been able to the fourth quarter. So I think at the end of the thing is, progress is how you keep enthusiasm. When there's not progress, things get hard. And you can't just measure progress in wins and losses. You can measure progress in lots of ways. And I know others don't agree that things didn't get better, but they have. I watched the film, and I feel like there's a lot of things getting better.
Do you feel that, in all these games, maybe except for that opener, but do you feel like, your team was pretty even, pretty neck and neck with some of the teams you're facing in terms of competition level? Like last year, it seems like you guys were way out in front of the competition. This year, it seems like these games are pretty much coming right down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. I think schedule has a lot to do with it. I think who you're playing, has a lot to do with it. EIU's wins were over winless teams in FCS. But EIU feels like, they're doing really, really good. But when you play really good teams and then you lose them, there's the opposite of that. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that playing good teams are eventually going to help us solve all the problems that need to get solved to try to win a championship. we'll get to the end of this and I failed or we were able to get it done, you know. We don't have to wait too long, you know, to watch how this thing ends.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, you bet.
Coach, final question for you. Just kind of talking about Geno Hess, and I know there's been much said about him over the years, but just set another OVC career rushing record with the 2 touchdowns. Can you just talk a little bit more about Geno and where he is and what he is for your program as well?
That's been said 1,000 times. There's nothing I can add.
Okay, Coach. We definitely appreciate your time. Wish you the best of luck this week, and thank you again. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.